This is National Native News. I'm Antonia Gonzalez. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau stopped short of using the word genocide in accepting the final report on missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. As Dan Karpenchuk reports, Trudeau said violence against Indigenous women and girls is not just part of Canada's history, but part of the present.
Trudeau also said that the country's justice system failed those murdered and missing. He said time and again Canadians have heard about those who disappeared, or the violence or the deaths, and how they were given a low priority by authorities.
We need to recognize the truths presented here, the truths you carry, and the future you have reached out your hands to build alongside all Canadians. We take this day as an essential day in the history and the future of this country, and we will walk forward together.
Trudeau was reacting to the final report of the National Inquiry, which took more than 3 years to do its work. It contained more than 200 recommendations, including an urgent call to action from governments on the issues of human trafficking, sexual exploitation, and violence, and the setting up of an Indigenous ombudsperson and human rights tribunal, as well as an action plan for employment, housing, education, and health care. Halvin Dumas is the Grand Chief of the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs.
I think that we've seen many tangible positive steps in the right direction happen. You know, I think the fact that we're able to have this conversation today comes from the tireless advocacy of the grassroots and the leadership to push this issue forward. And I will be certain to ensure that we continue to be vigilant and we continue to advocate so that this report is not just another document that's going to be gathering dust on a shelf somewhere.
The Commission heard from more than 2,300 people during the 2 years of public hearings held across Canada. For National Native News, I'm Dan Karpenchuk.
Graffiti was discovered over the weekend with the words "No Indians" and "Whites Only" with swastikas at a playground in Rapid City, South Dakota, in an area with a high Native population. Community members responded with a healing circle, as China Lockett reports.
A prayer and healing event was led by several community members, including Amy Sazu. She says when photos of the graffiti started circulating on social media, people reacted with outrage and anger.
That term racist city came up again because people talk about the fact that racism is not acknowledged here. So our reaction was to acknowledge the anger, acknowledge the racism, acknowledge how it makes people feel and the discomfort that the non-Native community feels when stuff like that comes up. But we wanted to really take it further with that and change our reaction.
Sazu says in Lakota culture, people respond to fear and harm with prayer. They invited the community to cleanse the park of negativity and make it welcoming to everyone again.
There was about 30 people there, mostly Indigenous families with children, who said the same thing. They want to role model that for their kids. They want their kids to see leaders in their community react with prayer instead of that anger, And we're not saying that the anger is not unjustified, but we're saying that as part of our culture, part of what we believe, that we wanted to wipe it down and restore it back to a place of safety and inclusion.
In a post on Facebook, officials with the Rapid City Police Department called the writings extremely racist, stating there is no room for this kind of behavior or mindset in our city. Photos show officers painting over the writings. I'm China Lockett.
And I'm Antonia Gonzalez.
National Native News is produced by Koahnic Broadcast Corporation with funding by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Support by Ramona Farms, offering wholesome and delicious foods from our heirloom crops as our contribution to a better diet for the benefit of all people. We are honored to share our centuries-old farming and culinary traditions online at ramonafarms.com. Support for journalism that raises the awareness of child well-being to citizens and to policymakers provided by the Annie E. Casey Foundation, building a brighter future for children, families, and communities. Information at aecf.org.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.